goes to the presumptive Democratic nominee for president, Joe Biden. Vice President Joe Biden. I really wish Joe Biden would shut the F up forever and continue to act like he's starring in the movie A Quiet Place, because as soon as he opens his mouth and makes noise, he gets us all killed. Okay? There's already so many people who are reluctantly only voting for Joe Biden because he's the only option and because Donald J. Trump is that trash. In fact, back in early June, there was a poll done that showed out of people who are registered to vote and would vote for Biden, 37% are enthused about voting for Biden, but 60% are more enthused about voting against Trump. Now, on the flip side, out of the people who would vote for Trump, 70% are enthused about actually voting for Donald, okay? About actually voting for him. The rest just want to vote against Biden. Okay, I think it's like 27% or something like that. The moral of the story is people aren't enthused about Biden. They just don't like Trump. And that's not good. That's not a great motivator. That's not something that makes you get up on election day and say, hey, I have to vote. And when Joe Biden says certain things, he causes even more of a lack of enthusiasm. Case in point, yesterday, America is tired. Okay, we're tired and we're fed up, and we're really fed up with old white male leadership. Okay, old white male leadership has gotten us to this point. That's the reason we're in the situation that we're in right now. Doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican, local or federal, old white male leadership has failed America. And there's nothing worse than an old white male who can't recognize the faults and flaws of other old white males. We live in a country where everyone now is trying to act so woke. They're acting like they see us. Okay, they are acting like they see what's really going on in this country, as if the veil has been taken off. And it's very hard for me to believe they are sincere simply because they won't acknowledge how we got here. How we got here in this position is systemic racism. How we got here is systemic oppression. Racism is the American way. Okay, Donald Trump is not the first, and sadly, he won't be the last. All right? He's just more overt with his racism than most presidents we've had in recent times. That's why when Joe Biden incorrectly refers to Donald Trump as America's first racist president, okay, like he did yesterday during a virtual town hall hosted by the Service Employees International Union, we have to check that immediately, okay? Can't have no revisionist history here. Saying Donald Trump is the first racist president is a lie, okay? It's a lie that relinquishes America of all responsibility of its bigotry. Listen to what Joe Biden said, please. Listen.
What President Trump has done, his spreading of racism, the way he deals with people based on the color of their skin, their national origin, where they're from, is absolutely sickening. Yeah. No sitting president has ever done this. No Republican president has done this. No Democratic president. We have racists, and they've existed. They've tried to get elected president. He's the first one that has.
How are we ever going to atone for America's original sins if we don't acknowledge them? Now, I graduated from Berkeley High School in Mounts Corner, South Carolina. I dropped on the cruise bomb from Berkeley High School. Okay, I graduated 2 years behind schedule. I was supposed to be class of 96. I was class of 98, and I graduated in night school. Okay, got kicked out of two high schools. All right, Berkeley High School and Stratford High School. So I am not the smartest or strongest Avenger. But with my limited formal education, I know that the USA may have been founded on the idea that all men are created equal, but in the 18th and 19th century, that was malarkey. All right, BS. How could all men be created equal in a country where black people were looked at as 3/5 of a human being? You didn't even look at us as a whole human. So how could we ever be equal? Not to mention, slaveholding was far too common back then. All right. In fact, so much so that 12, count them, 12, a whole dozen chief executives, heads of states, presidents, whatever you want to call them, owned slaves. How the hell can Donald J. Trump be the first racist president in a country where 12 presidents before him owned slaves? What you gonna tell me? Slavery wasn't racist? It was just business? Do you want me to grasp the cultural context of what the times were? Miss me with all that. Slaves built the White House. Okay, James Madison, James Monroe, Andrew Jackson, all owned several dozen slaves. Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, and James K. Polk all owned slaves. Okay, George Washington, Mr. Dollar Bill, y'all. All right, had 300 male slaves on his plantation. Dude on the nickel. Okay, Thomas Jefferson, even though he once called slavery an assemblage of horrors, he had 175 slaves. And this is why you can't let them get away with saying slavery was just business and the culture was different back then. They weren't racist. They were just men of the times. No, no, no. Dude on the nickel, Thomas Jefferson, said racism was an assemblage of horrors. They knew exactly what they were doing and why they were doing it. Okay, Zachary Taylor owned 150 slaves when he was in the White House. All right, Andrew Johnson and Ulysses S. Grant also owned slaves. The moral of the story is Donald J. Trump is not the first racist president. He's the latest racist president. Like, come on. We had presidents who ruled over a country where black people, Native Americans, Latinos didn't have the right to vote. Andrew Jackson called abolitionists urging black equality unconstitutional and wicked. Thomas Jefferson said in his book, Notes on the State of Virginia, if every black slave were ever freed, they should be deported because he believed black and whites could not live together peacefully. Woodrow Wilson worked to keep blacks out of Princeton University while serving as the school's president. And when he became president of the United States of America, he refused to reverse the segregation of civil service, even though he won the White House with the support of some black men. Even Lyndon B. Johnson, who I would like to see Joe Biden be as far as policy and legislation when he gets in the White House. Even Lyndon B. Johnson, who on paper was probably the most progressive president in regard to race relations ever, in tapes of private conversations, he routinely used racist rhetoric to describe black people he appointed to key positions. You know, Joe Biden, I know that you said in 2020, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. It seems to me that in the 18th and 19th century, you could not be president if you ain't racist. I ask again, how will America ever atone for its original sins if it won't even acknowledge them? Joe, you got to hurry up and announce your black woman VP so I can be enthused about voting for her, because I will never be enthused about voting for you. And you know America is in a terrible place when Kanye West seems like a viable option. Okay, America, we need a change. I don't know how we ended up in a position where in November we have to vote for two old white males again. Okay, the option is old white male leadership again. But we are here, and the country is at a tipping point. The energy of change is all around us. America is going in a new direction, but the ballot on November 3rd does not reflect that at all. Could you please give Vice President Joe Biden, the presumptive Democratic nominee for president in 2020, the biggest hee-haw?
All right. Well, thank you for that donkey today.